Okay, so now this time I'll talk about chapter 5, psychological measurement. Okay, how to measure a concept, a trait, or a variable. It's not that easy. Okay, so let's talk about that. Now this is just an example, a big five. That's a huge popular measure. Sorry, it's about a personality. Okay, we don't really understand personality yet, but this is an attempt to measure the component of personality. And that there are five, right? Openness to experience, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. It seems like a person's personality is more or less composed of these five factors. First, let's talk about operational definitions. Because before you measure something, you need to define that thing, right? So everything in the study has to be clear and precise, so others can understand what you mean and they can replicate. So operation definition is totally different from dictionary definition, and that's why when you write manuscript, do not quote or do not cite a dictionary. Okay, that's very important. Now there's no how to, no procedure in dictionary. Alright, so example, high versus low anxiety condition in a study in 1959. They create a high anxiety condition by the electric equipment in the room and the behavior of the researchers, and it will hurt statement delivered by the participant. Okay, so they just create this atmosphere, this situation for the participants to feel this high anxiety. Later, of course, they are going to ask if the participants really feel the high anxiety. Okay, and the low condition, there's no such equipment, relax the behavior of the researcher, and it won't hurt statement delivered. Okay, so in other words, later people, if they want to replicate the study, they just follow the instructions of the high versus low condition, and that is the operational definition. Everything has to be very precise. Okay. Now the next thing we want to discuss is the levels of measurement, and this is quite important. When we do research, we need to understand what kind of measurements do we, what level of measurement we use, because it's related to how we are going to analyze the data. If we use the wrong level, then we cannot analyze the data. The first one is nominal scale. It's actually, in other words, categorical, no quantitative relationship to one another. Example is male versus female, old versus young. So in the research, usually you assign male to a value and female one value. So male is 1, female is 2, and you just code this accordingly. 1 is not in any way more or less than 2. So 1 and 2 is just a label. Okay. Old versus young, maybe you say, okay, people below 20 is defined as young, and people older than 60 is defined as old. So, and we code young as number 1, and old as number 2, and anybody else will be 3, right? Those numbers are just category. They don't have really value attached to it. Those are nominal. Some other example, for example, eye color, right? Eye color, blue is 1, brown is 2, and some other color will be 3. Okay, so that's nominal. The next one is ordinal. It's ranks. Okay, so the intervals between values might not be equal, and there is no true zero. So for example, in the class, we have first place, second place, third place, and the exam. That's ordinal. But the first place and second place may be just 1 point different, right? And second and third place maybe is 11 points different. So the intervals might not be equal. Okay, just remember it's just rank order. Interval is measures magnitudes. Okay, assumed to have equal assumed. Okay, this is assumed to have equal intervals between values. Okay, but there's no true zero. So the example for interval is the Likert type scale. Likert type is like, okay, from 1 to 10, tell us how happy you are. 1 is really unhappy, 10 is very happy. Okay, or from 1 to 7, how much pain do you feel right now? Okay, 1 is no pain, and 7 is really excruciating pain. Those are Likert type scale. From 1 to 6, how much do you like pizza? Those are interval. And when we do research, at least we try our best to at least measure with our interval scale. Okay, ratio is just numbers. Okay, measure magnitude has equal intervals between values and has true zero. So for example, body weight, people's height, how fast one reacts in seconds. Those are true numbers. Okay, so ratio is just numbers. All right. So if in the study we can measure ratio, that would be perfect. I mean, that's the best because it's easy to analyze. It's really powerful to find more likely to find significant difference or significant relationship anyhow. So unless it's necessary, we just use at least interval or ratio. All right.